Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Hogan and this is Hogan Life. Thank you for joining me and welcome to my channel. Normally I talk about everything mom related. I talk about house cleaning and homeschooling and baking and children. I can't just sit and talk to you like something so monumental hasn't happened. Charlie Kirk is dead. He was murdered. I did not know Charlie Kirk personally. And I think that this is one of the really weird parts of living in a culture where you can feel like you know someone so well. You can feel like that person is a part of your family, that they've been part of your life for so long and you've never actually met them or shaken hands with them, but because you've been able to witness their life in such a public fashion, you feel like you know them. And so you grieve in a way that you would grieve for someone that you have known and that has been impactful in your life. And so that's where I'm coming from. Charlie was impactful in my life and in the lives of my kids. In fact, my daughter is up where he was supposed to speak the day after he was killed. It all feels very close to home to this country. And on this channel, I don't talk about a lot of heavy subjects. I want to encourage you guys in the trenches. That's what I call it. When you're in the trenches of mothering, when you're not getting a lot of sleep and you're just busy and you're emotionally crowded. But these life events are very much a part of a mom's life in this culture that we live in. And I can't just ignore it. If you know me, you know that I was never on social media. I hated it. I despised it. I still despise it mostly. And then I started getting this urgency to start a YouTube channel. And if you would have known me 3 years ago or 4 years ago before I started YouTube, I'm not that person. I just had this impression that I needed to start building a platform. It wouldn't go away. And finally I just started and it's been so slow for me. Like most people have this learning curve that's like, okay, oh yeah, there I am. I figured it out. My learning curve is it's enormous. It feels like I've gone around and around one of those roundabouts in Europe, you know, a large roundabout, and you just can't seem to find the straightaway again. And the Lord really started impressing on me his heart for the one. You guys have all heard the story of the shepherd who left the 99 to go after that one that had strayed. The one matters. And so every time I do a video, I'm like, okay, Lord, this is something you asked me to do, something I would never have done otherwise. And so this one video, even if it's just about cooking sourdough, even if it's just about managing laundry, even if it's just about picking a homeschool curriculum, I want to glorify your name and I want you to go out there and reach the one. And that's kind of how I've done YouTube. And then we have this contrast, this man, Charlie Kirk, who's reached the masses. And it's not just our country, it's the world. And in such a small amount of time. And part of my grief is that we won't get to see the next 30 years of his life, the next 31 years of his life. I've never on this channel tried to be anything but who I am. That's why you see my house messy. That's why you see me all unkempt. I mean, literally, I got sunburned today at the soccer field because I was there for 5.5 hours, 4 games, all at different times. But I want to be more of who I am. And that is a passionate lover of Jesus. You see these people like Charlie who, well, it's just like the world got robbed. We got robbed of this life that we were getting to witness make a huge difference in our culture. But I want to be very clear that God does not cause these things to happen. We live in a fallen world and it's not God who's doing these things. It is a devil who is after us, who hates us, and who wants to steal and kill and destroy. It is Jesus who came to give us life and that life more abundantly. It is only Jesus who can take this horrific circumstance and can bring out of it something that is so profound and so beautiful and so impactful that the world will stare with open mouths at the impact that this has had. And I think that that's why it's easy for people to get kind of confused because they're like, but look at what the Lord brought out of this. He must have made that happen because he wanted this to happen. And it's no, he's the only one in his grace, in his mercy, and in his power that can take a situation so sad, so hopeless, and can turn it into a situation where thousands and thousands of people become the light in a dead and darkened world. I'm reminded of the Gettysburg Address, where Abraham Lincoln says, "The world will little note nor long remember what I say here, but it can never forget what they did here." We're talking about the fallen in Gettysburg. The world will never forget what has happened this week if we take what has happened and we cause it to be a catalyst to our own purpose, to our own destiny in the Lord, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whatever He has called you to do. Take it up to the next level. Take your life to the next level. Take what you have understood your purpose to be so far to the next level. If you have understood that the Lord was calling you in to do something and you're just dragging your feet because you're like, that's not me, I can't do that, that's too hard, just do it. Go into your purpose now. What can we do? What can we do to show the world that this has mattered to us, that this has changed us as a people, this has changed us in the way we live our lives. My goal is to raise those godly kids, and it's not going to change the way I raise them. But it might change my boldness a little. Maybe I am not as bold as I could be about the power of the gospel and the power of the resurrected Christ. You're going to find Christians that are imperfect. Like, you're not going to find a Christian that's not imperfect unless you're talking to Jesus. But when you come into the love of Jesus, there is an understanding there that surpasses understanding. It is coming into a love that is beyond what you've ever experienced. And when you come into that love, you don't have to ask all the questions quite so much. You can learn from the love that at once accepts who you are in every way and then says, but let me show you what's best for you. When my daughter called me and told me the news last week about Charlie Kirk being shot, I got off the phone and I said, kids, we got to pray. I recognize that there's this compulsion so often to say, oh, I got to tell people that this happened. And that's so weird, because what we really need to do if we hear something bad is we need to get on our knees and we need to be the ones that are actually praying. Not the ones that are saying, hey, I'm praying for you. Hey, I'll keep you in my prayers. Like, those are nice sentiments. We live in a dangerous time. We live in a troubled time. And we are the lights in the dark and dying world. We are the ones who need to get out there and pray real prayers, pray serious prayers. And we need to share the love of Jesus. We need to be the love of Jesus, not just a pseudo-Christian gets offended just like the world love of Jesus. No, we need to be the love of Jesus that is able to see a person for who they are, that is able to encourage them to come in to where Jesus forgives them, to come in to where they can then be discipled, to change and to grow. When the Twin Towers were hit so many years ago in 2001, the first ones had already been hit and I was at my job. And I remember when the next plane went into the building, and I remember where I was standing. I remember this surreal feeling of, is this really happening? This is happening live right now in real time. And I remember how the country just came together and how there was a unification because we had this recognition that this is wrong. This should not be happening on our soil. Slowly, the country went back to kind of a state of passivity, a state of sleepiness about a lot of things. And I don't want that to happen. I'm not gonna forget easily. I want to keep what's happening right now fresh in my mind so that I live with a little bit more urgency, with a little bit more tenaciousness. Well, this was supposed to be short. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of my channel. What is God calling you to do? What part of the change right now is God calling you to be? Remember, no one can mom your kids the way you can.